Welcome to the after sermon. My name's Daniel. I'm here with Eric Parks. Thanks for joining us.
Totally.
Do you guys remember what the after sermon is all about? We get to sit down with our communicators from the weekend, like right after they delivered their message, and unpack it maybe on a deeper level, maybe hear some behind the scenes of what maybe didn't make it, but more importantly, talk about Jesus.
Awesome. I love
So
that.
can you tell us a little bit about your message today
Yeah.
and kind of how you went about it?
Well, I think the message, the synopsis is what's in first place in your life. All of us have arranged our lives around something, and sometimes we're unaware of the arrangement and what is the most important thing. So, like when we talk about what's sitting on the gold medal platform of your life, it's
Mhm.
whatever bends, whatever forces your life to bend toward it is in that first place. And we're in this season where we're asking a lot of questions as a community about um, discipleship, followership, apprenticeship, and more people are walking into our space, considering the way of Jesus. So we're considering how do we make space for people, and I think it's important to understand, like, anytime you start talking about resource, generosity, finance, any of those things, really this is a chance to have a conversation about what is your life centered around?
Mhm.
Like, what does it look like to recenter? That's why we use the word rearrangement
Yes.
as an important part of like our vision for the way of Jesus. Jesus' way requires a rearrangement or recentering. So I talked about that. I used Luke chapter 10 and
Well, the cool
yeah,
thing about the Luke chapter 10 is I think a lot of times, like it's the Mary and Martha story.
right.
It's like, oh, like, Martha's like so busy and Mary's like choosing the right thing. And a lot of times I feel like that story, when, we pull that story out, it's like about busyness or about like, focusing on the wrong things. And yet I really appreciated how you pulled the focus towards Mary
Mm,
and like what she was placing as first in her life.
yeah.
Um, what about that story lends itself to this idea of generosity? Because I feel like that's like a lot. Like I say, we picked that story and it's not necessarily tied towards generosity. How did that
Well,
happen?
I think that's the thing okay. So break it down to its simplest parts. Generosity, what is it? It is about the giving away of my financial resource.
Mm.
So it's this stuff. And in our culture, we have based most of our existence as a country on the pursuit of that thing, money,
Sure.
right? Money is like, we work hard. We have been taught, like, pull yourself up your bootstraps, stand on your own. And I'm not suggesting those things are wrong. Those are
No.
a, a high value, work hard, and uh, security, stability. I just think the misplacement of priorities is what this is about. And if money, if stuff, if anything else sits in first place and everything bends toward it, then by nature there can only be one first place. So that means that the way of Jesus becomes secondary or third dairy or fourth dairy. And I
Are
think
those words?
no, I made that
Okay.
up. But I think that's the thing. What Jesus is saying in that passage, and it gets reiterated throughout Scripture, is He desires the first place of your life, and the way of Jesus is a rearrangement toward that end, where we begin to understand that Jesus isn't a thing that I fit into my busy schedule. It's not a thing I do once a week. It's not even a prayer time in the morning. It is a rearrangement of priorities. It is putting Jesus in his way as the primary component where all life's decisions flow from,
Mhm.
right? And that isn't easy, especially in a culture where, for most of us, financial security has been put in first place. It is
Yeah.
the primary piece. And so I think the invitation in all of this, it's the invitation that stands for all followers of Jesus. First, well, what did he say? So don't take my word for it. I mean,
Yeah.
what does Jesus say about money, finances, where it sits? why it's important. I mean, it seems to me that Jesus, this is an important thing he talked about. So I say, I think it's important. Go see what he says.
Well, what's funny is like, we say the word rearrangement a lot. And I think one of the reasons we love that word is because it insinuates there is an arrangement already. You are prearranged before you meet Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And the rearrangement is almost like, like this reordering of priorities. And when you look at the words of Jesus, it's almost like Jesus is like, okay, we've got a lot to tackle here because before you met me, you've been prearranged by your life circumstances, family of origin,
Totally.
All of this life you've lived. Let's start putting things in the right order.
Well, and I think one of the things I'll borrow from Dallas Willard and insert, he talks about intentional formation. I actually think it's really as similarly intentional ordering. The reality is we are all ordered. We've ordered our life in a very particular way, i.e., we put something as the primary focus. It's a philosophy of life, how we're going to live. It is the most important, and then everything sort of flows from it.
Yeah.
For many of us, that's been shaped, to be candid, accidentally. It's just given to us through school and nowadays social media, relationships. Our life then gets ordered by these things we think life is supposed to be about. What Jesus is inviting us into is a reordering that is intentional, where we say, this is the way of Jesus. Here's what he says about God, which is this fundamental life question about what is God? Who is this person?
Yep.
Life, like how am I supposed to live in this space, right? And the soul, what happens to me when this whole thing is done? The three fundamental questions. Jesus is answering these throughout his word, like his way answers it. Then, once you learn about his way, you intentionally reorder your life around what he says is true.
Yeah.
That is what we're talking about, a reordering that is intentional instead of just given to you, just inherited to you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, I know I could talk about this all day.
Sure.
Me too. But I think it's almost time for you to get
I'm gonna have to go back on and preach again.
If you want to hear the message that this whole entire conversation was based on, you can head to our YouTube channel. If you want to listen to it, we have a podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, thanks so much for joining us.